The Luminous Lantern Journey. In the quiet town of Lumina Hollow, nestled between soft rolling hills and a forest that glimmered at night, lived a bright-eyed hedgehog named Callie. Callie had a knack for finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. She spent her days exploring, searching for new secrets the world had to offer, and she always had her little satchel ready for any adventure that might come her way. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills and the forest began to twinkle, Callie sat by her window, watching the first fireflies begin to dance. As she leaned her chin on her paws, she noticed a flicker of blue light weaving through the trees. It wasn't like the usual golden glow of the fireflies, and it was moving quickly, almost as if it were looking for something or someone. Callie's eyes widened, her heart skipping a beat. What could that be? She whispered to herself. Without thinking twice, she grabbed her satchel, slipped on her cozy scarf, and dashed out of her little home. She followed the blue light into the woods, her paws padding softly against the forest floor. The blue light danced through the trees, leading her deeper into the woods than she had ever dared to go alone. It wasn't long before Callie reached a small clearing where the light finally stopped, hovering above a large ornate lantern resting on a stump. The lantern glowed with a soft blue light, and intricate designs of stars and moons decorated its surface. Callie approached it cautiously, her eyes wide with wonder. Just as she reached out to touch the lantern, a voice called out behind her. "Wait! Don't touch it yet!" Callie spun around to see a rabbit, his ears tall and his eyes bright with excitement. He wore a small vest with pockets filled with tools and trinkets. He hopped closer, waving his paw. "That lantern is very special," he said, his voice soft but urgent. "Who are you?" Callie asked, tilting her head in curiosity. "I'm Finn," the rabbit replied, smiling. "I'm an apprentice lantern keeper. That lantern, it has the power to take us to a place called the Luminous Grove. But it needs the right spark, a spark of adventure." Callie's heart fluttered. A magical grove! This was exactly the kind of adventure she'd always dreamed of. "A spark of adventure?" she asked. "What do we need to do?" Finn's eyes sparkled. "We need to light the lantern together, but we must truly want to go on this journey. It needs both of our hopes, our excitement. Are you ready?" Callie looked at the lantern, then back at Finn. She nodded eagerly, her eyes filled with determination. "I'm ready." Finn reached into one of his pockets and pulled out a small flint. He struck it against a rock, and a tiny spark flew into the lantern. Callie closed her eyes, wishing with all her heart for the adventure to begin. The lantern flickered, then burst into a bright blue flame, and a gentle wind swirled around them, lifting the lantern into the air. "Hold on!" Finn shouted, grabbing Callie's paw. In an instant they were surrounded by light, the forest spinning around them, until suddenly everything stilled. Callie opened her eyes, her breath catching in her throat. They were standing in a grove unlike anything she had ever seen. Trees with silvery bark glowed softly, their branches adorned with shimmering leaves that looked like stars. The ground beneath them was covered in soft moss, glowing in patches of blue and green. In the center of the grove stood a tree larger than the rest, its trunk twisted and its branches reaching high into the sky, covered in luminescent flowers. "We made it," Finn whispered, his eyes wide with awe. "The Luminous Grove!" Callie took a deep breath, her heart swelling with wonder. She turned to Finn, her eyes glistening. "It's beautiful," she said softly. Finn nodded. "And there's something here," Something hidden. The lantern brought us here for a reason. We have to find the heart of the grove." Callie looked around, her eyes scanning the glowing trees and flowers. "How do we find it?" Finn smiled, pulling out a small compass from his vest. The needle spun wildly before settling, pointing toward the large tree at the center of the grove. "The compass will guide us," he said, "but we have to be careful. The grove is full of surprises." As they made their way toward the large tree, the ground beneath them began to shift, and a soft giggle echoed through the grove. Callie and Finn stopped, looking around in surprise. "Did you hear that?" Callie asked, her ears twitching. Finn nodded, his eyes scanning the grove. "Someone's here," he whispered. Suddenly, a small creature emerged from behind a glowing bush. It was a fox, but unlike any fox Callie had ever seen. Its fur was a deep shade of blue, and its eyes glowed like two tiny moons. The fox tilted its head, looking at them curiously. "Hello," the fox said, its voice soft and melodic. "Are you here to find the heart of the grove?" Callie nodded, her eyes wide. "Yes, we are. Do you know where it is?" The fox smiled, its tail swishing behind it. "I do, but you'll need to solve a riddle to find it. The grove only reveals its heart to those who are truly worthy." Finn glanced at Callie, then back at the fox. "We're ready," he said, his voice steady. The fox's eyes twinkled as it spoke. "What glows without fire, dances without feet, and is gone by morning light?" Callie furrowed her brow, thinking hard. She looked around the grove, at the glowing leaves and flowers, and then her eyes lit up. "Fireflies!" she exclaimed. "They glow, they dance, and they're gone by morning." The fox's smile widened, and it nodded. "You are correct," it said. "Follow me." The fox led them to the large tree at the center of the grove. As they approached, the tree's flowers began to glow brighter, and the air around them seemed to hum with energy. The fox stopped at the base of the tree, gesturing for Callie and Finn to step closer. "The heart of the grove is within this tree," the fox said. "Place your paws on the trunk and close your eyes." Callie and Finn did as they were told, placing their paws on the cool, smooth bark of the tree. They closed their eyes, and a warmth spread through them, filling them with a sense of peace and joy. A soft voice echoed around them, the voice of the grove itself. "You have shown courage, curiosity, and kindness. The heart of the grove is yours to share." Callie opened her eyes, and she gasped. The tree had opened, revealing a small, glowing crystal, pulsing with light. Finn reached out, gently taking the crystal in his paws. It was warm to the touch, and it seemed to hum with life. "This is the heart of the grove," Finn said, his voice filled with wonder. "It's a gift of light and hope." The fox nodded, its eyes soft. "Take it with you and let it guide you on your journey. The grove will always be with you, as long as you carry its light in your hearts." Callie felt tears well up in her eyes, and she smiled, her heart full. "Thank you," she whispered. "We'll take care of it." The fox bowed its head, and with a flick of its tail, it disappeared into the grove, leaving Callie and Finn standing by the great tree, the crystal glowing softly in Finn's paws. As the light of the grove began to fade, Callie and Finn made their way back to the clearing where the lantern waited. The blue light of the lantern flickered, ready to take them home. Finn looked at Callie, his eyes shining. "This is just the beginning," he said. "There are more lanterns, more groves, more magic out there." Callie nodded, her heart pounding with excitement. "Then let's find them, together." Finn smiled, holding the crystal close. Together! Always!" The lantern's light enveloped them, and in a flash they were back in Luminous Hollow, standing by Callie's little home. The night was quiet, the fireflies dancing around them, and the crystal in Finn's paws glowed softly, a reminder of the magic they had found. Callie looked at Finn, her eyes filled with determination. "I can't wait for our next adventure," she said. Finn grinned, his ears twitching with excitement. "Neither can I. What do you think they'll find on their next journey? Maybe another lantern, another magical grove, or something entirely new.